Hello, everybody. It's Ron and Hope Unfiltered. What are you doing? Always doing something.
There's a mark on my desk. You started before I was going to get rid of it.
It's all right.
Can they see that black mark on my desk?
No, it don't matter. Anyway.
Trying to be clean for
Ron
everybody,
and Hope
baby.
Unfiltered. Real, raw, relevant.
Hey, guys.
And guess what? Today is our 100th podcast.
I feel like we've only done 4.
Oh, my God. Wow, time flies
So
when you're
new.
having fun.
So new
So
with you.
new with me.
So new. Everything new.
Oh.
You make all things new.
That's awesome, Ron.
So anyway.
You're just trying to
Your hair
earn
looks
some.
different.
Don't start. I just pulled it back in a ponytail.
You got your hair done today, didn't you?
I got the color done.
That's Southern. I know where our reach is much more than Southern, but you got your hair done did.
Hair done did. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Got my color
I was
done.
trying to give you a
Got
compliment.
my
Why'd you
color
look
done.
at
I
me?
thought you were making, because you always make fun.
No, I make fun of you when it's stinky and dirty. That's when I make fun, when you don't wash it.
That's rare.
Wash it on holidays and for church.
Ronald, that is
Yes.
not true.
Maybe. We're leaning that way.
Girls go like every other day or sometime 2 or 3 days before they wash their hair. Y'all got twigs. Y'all got these little twigs, and we got long hair, and it can go longer. It's a true story.
Okay, if you say so. We put dry shampoo on it.
Yes. You
What
have
is
on
exactly dry shampoo?
It's puffs of powder.
So powder to absorb the grease?
Yes,
know how gross that is?
absolutely. Do you
I'd
know how
warn
much money they've made on selling dry shampoo? I
For
would
women
love
who
to
don't want to
know.
wash their hair.
Yes, Ron.
But I heard when we were young, they used to just take baby powder and put it in kids' hair.
What?
I've heard that. They just take baby powder and put it in a kid's scalp and rub it in to absorb the grease when mom and dad didn't want to wash it.
Where did you hear this, Ron?
I think your mom and dad told me that.
That is
Yes, they did.
not true.
I think that's what they did to your head.
Nobody has put baby powder
Yes, they did.
in children's hair. They put that on their butt, hon.
Tell them what we're talking about today. These
Ron,
fuzzies are everywhere.
I was about to say, Ron has on a new
I got
sweater.
on your shirt. I sat in a chair in the office
And
this
it
morning,
is. They're
and the whole
flying
thing was
around.
covered, so it looks like the glory is around us right now.
I guess
but
that's the last time you'll
it's
wear that
shirt
sweater.
Fuzzies. No, we got to wash it because it's
It's
brand new.
in
I hadn't
your
washed it.
beard, too.
Fuzzies?
Yes.
No, I think that's just my gray beard, baby.
No, it's fuzzies.
Tell them what we're talking about because I really like this topic.
I do, too. Preparing for next. The
next
keys.
level.
What are the keys to help you prepare for the next level?
See,
Because in God, there's
I
always
don't want to be
more.
one of these guys. I'm going to give you 7 keys to the next level. I don't want to do that.
Just
Remember,
do 4.
When we come to this thing right here, we're trying to give you the real stuff, not what I've prepared in a package as if I was going out on traveling
Some
and
things
speaking
we've
at
learned.
conferences. Yes. And the things that, not book stuff, not anything like that. But no, let me start off first of all. God intended life to be fluid. Life is not always a straight line. We would like to think I start here and I get to here.
That would be nice.
But that life is not a straight line. Life, I've always said, is lived on levels and experienced in seasons. Let me say that again. You go from faith to faith, glory to glory, as by the Spirit of the Lord. So the Spirit of God in me always has a next faith and always has a next
More.
glory.
It's more.
Always. That's what I said. I press toward the mark of the high calling of God, the upward call, as one translation says. It's just, there's no place called there. You've heard me say it. It's just upward. As you follow God,
Growth.
you just keep lifting.
Yeah.
The law of lift takes you away from the law of sin, which is a gravitational pull. It is the law of lift that lifts you above everything. So number one, people need to understand that things are not supposed to be the same forever. They're not supposed to be. We have some people that live in cultures in part of the countries, maybe even learn in their family, this is the way we've always done it.
And we live the same level our whole life.
And there is something to be said for traditions that are passed down culturally. I'm not knocking that. But the fact is, if your life looks exactly like your mom's and dad's, which looked exactly like their moms and dads, something is missing, because God wants this family to be fruitful, multiply, increase, fill the earth, and subdue it.
Say it again. What's he want?
Multiply, fill the earth, increase, have dominion, subdue the earth. That is exactly the first commandment given. Listen, to the family.
To the family. Yes.
Okay.
Multiply, increase.
So life is supposed to be fluid. It's not supposed to be rigid. So here's the thing. If I'm going to be fluid, some of this is going to be hard.
What does fluid mean, Ron? Moving.
Moves, mobile, fluid, not the same. I can't fall too much in love with now, because God will change it.
Mm-hmm. And God will cause instances in your life to confront your now. Mm-hmm. If he doesn't like you staying stuck either. He doesn't want you being not living on the level he's designed you to live on. So he will confront your now.
There was a very popular book written 10 or 12 years ago that I took the whole staff through. It's not a Christian book. It's a secular book, but I took it and proved with it biblical principles, called Good to Great. And I've always told everybody, it's easy for people to let go of bad stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, take this addiction from me, take this debt from me, take this loneliness from. That's easy to let go of. Mm-hmm. When God starts asking for good stuff,
because he wants to give you great stuff.
That is where people have a struggle. And listen, if you've never had it good and all you've had is bad, then good seems like great.
Oh, that's so good. Say it again. If all you've had is bad. If you've never had it good and all you've had is bad, some people have never had anything passed to them but a curse and trouble and hardship and debt. Nobody ever blessed them. Nobody ever set them up. Nobody ever helped them. And so all they've had is bad. And if they finally get to, man, this is a good spot, they're willing to camp out there. That's what Israel was. Yeah. Egypt was bad. Mm-hmm. Promised land is great, but in between is good. You know, we're not getting beat anymore by Pharaoh's card. But we're not eating of the fruit of the land.
We're not in a land flowing with milk and honey either. And God has purposed the land that flows with milk and honey, which means I've got to keep moving.
Yeah.
Okay? Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. You're in the valley of the shadow of death, keep walking.
Yeah, get out.
Don't stop. Don't build a house. Keep walking. So the first thing in going to the next level is the understanding and embracing that God has another level, God has another season, and my life has to be fluid, mobile, not rigid, and I can't ever fall in love too much with my now, because if you do, you forfeit your future.
That's right.
Okay? So that's the first thing I want to say. Anything you want to add to that? Because you may have a lot of personal circumstances and stories that we can weave into this.
No, I love that. That really resonated with me when you said people who have had it bad
think good is great.
Think good is the stopping point. Like, oh, well, I grew up this way. Well, now I got this. This is okay. But God's got so much more.
If you grew up in a single home and your mom worked 2 jobs and all you know is getting eviction notices every 90 days and your mama did the best she could and you had no dad in your life. Okay, if you ever get to a place and the rent's paid, this is great.
Yeah.
I know when I come home tomorrow, there's not going to be an orange slip hanging on my door. Okay,
it satisfies that safety.
It's next.
Yeah, it's next level.
But it's not great.
Right.
Okay. There are people listening to us right now that are trying to walk into all types of blessings. We got one man that's just come into our life that did $250 million last year. And he was talking to us about his next. Right. Okay. And we've got people who've come in trying to get off drugs and their addiction has left them homeless. And they're praying for the blessing of the Lord. You know what the blessing of the Lord is? A roof and a meal. Yeah. And then the other guy, his next status would be billionaire status. And he's believing God to be blessed. So blessing. And
there's nothing wrong with the roof and a meal.
There's neither one. It's blessing. But
you got to keep going.
Blessing is always has a next level. And for this guy, it's stability. For this guy, it's billionaire breakthrough. There are all different levels of life, and all of them pertain to somebody that we're talking to.
Yes.
The next thing I want to say, and I'm not going to turn this into mind world, although mind world is my most watched, my most bought, my most purchased CDs, DVDs, my most watched YouTube. I don't really believe, Hope, that people are stuck. I believe people's mind is stuck.
Yeah. And because their mind is stuck, they physically get stuck.
They don't move because their mind has been locked in a place. The Bible proclaims that as a man thinketh, so is he. My reality is an outward derivative of what my thought life is. And if you get to the place you are not being exposed, I'm going to talk about that in a minute, you're not learning, you're not growing, you're not being challenged. If you ever get to that place, and this is a dangerous place, when you're the smartest one in the room, the dangerous place is when you're the one in the room everybody looks to, you're really in the wrong room.
Yeah.
Because you're not in a room that can strengthen you, you're only in a room that can deplete you because everybody in there needs what you have. And so long and short of it is you've got to move to next level. You got to make sure that your mind goes there first. I'll talk about that in a minute.
Yes,
I think we've got an advertiser that's come in and we need to talk to them. Yeah, because we're talking about something they can help you with.
Yes. This show today is sponsored by BetterHelp. And, you know, our last show, I talked with Dr. Sandra about, you know, creating this stigma of mental health, and it's taboo and nobody wants to talk about it. And I am so proud of the church.
We love Dr.
I'm
Sandra.
so proud of the world, how we are trying to take that stigma away, because we all need somewhere to bounce our thoughts. We need somebody to help us get a different perspective. Our perspective isn't always right. We think we are, don't we? But we're not always right.
The stigma of needing help, meaning you're weak.
Right, and you're not weak.
You're not weak. When you bring a totally objective third party into anything, they see your blind spots.
They do. They see what you don't see. And we are advocates for counseling.
Yes.
We've used counseling. We counsel people. So just take that stigma off. If there are issues in your life, you know, that you need help sorting out, whether it's your marriage, your emotions, depression, your past, whatever it is. Listen, BetterHelp can help you. And it's this time of year. It can be a lot, right? And it's natural to feel some sadness or anxiety about it. But adding something new and positive to your life can counteract some of those feelings. Therapy can be a bright spot amid all the stress and change, something to look forward to make you feel grounded and to give you tools to manage everything that's going on in your life. Therapy is helpful for learning positive coping skills, how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major traumas. It's really for everybody. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited for your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist, and switch therapist anytime for no additional charge, okay? Find your bright spot this season, okay, with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/Ron and Hope today to get 10% off of your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Ron and
Don't forget
Hope.
that part.
Ron and Hope.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
So we're talking about moving our mind and getting our mind unstuck right here after BetterHelp.com. I think that can be the hardest part.
Yeah.
Because as you and I, unfortunately, know all too well, the mind can be traumatized and never move past it.
Yeah.
And something can happen when you're 11, you're 12 years old, and you have no idea. You're not even conscious of the fact it is driving your decisions at 35.
Right. Well, a lot of times we try to forget those things and we stuff them down. I mean, you know, you could see your parents fighting or hear your parents fighting and screaming, and it caused you such anxiety as a child. But as a child, an 8, 9, 10-year-old, you don't understand. You don't have the capability to understand all that it's doing to you emotionally, but you live the rest of your adult life with all this bottled up anxiety and anger that you couldn't scream at your parents because they're your parents, but now you scream at your spouse.
Even yesterday on the plane when I was flying back to the East Coast, I watched a movie. I'm not going to say the name of the movie. because there'd be so many people have so many different opinions about a movie. But I watched a movie where it was this lady in her late 30s, and she had the reputation of a man-eater. I mean, she just destroyed them, eat them alive, destroyed them. They would really like her. She had a lot of likable characteristics, but by the time they really got zoned in to make a commitment, and this was her pattern in life, well, come to find out, she was born from a dad who made a mistake with her mother, and dad was married to somebody else. She was the mistake. Dad had money, bought him a house, but never came to see him again. She wrote her daddy letters. Her daddy never responded. And so here came this pattern of her, actually the anger that she had. She just eat men alive. And it took a child to kind of, the movie was about a child, helped her see and understand what she'd been doing and brought this radical revelation to her life. You don't always see your stuff.
That's true.
You don't always see it. Here's the way you can tell if your mind is stuck. If you're seeing the same scenery. You've seen the same scenery. It's a cycle.
It's a cycle.
It's a cycle. Excuse me. If your mind is stuck, you can usually, no matter how much money I make, I'm broke. No matter how many people I date, it ends right here. No matter how many times I have been married, this problem always arises. In other words, you see the same scenery over again. That usually means mentally you are stuck and your life is not allowed to progress forward.
Yeah.
Now, problem, if God has other levels and other seasons and your mind is stuck, what do you do with that? You're going to have to stop life long enough. Remove yourself from your usual environment because it's very hard to get healed in a familiar environment. Yeah. And you're going to have to confront these issues, which normally are not, it's not pleasant.
No, it isn't. Nobody likes to be confronted.
It's not a pleasant journey.
Nobody likes to be told you're wrong. Nobody likes to be aware that, man, I've been doing this wrong the whole time.
There's a lot of people, because I experienced this a lot with what we walk through. You know that pain is going to be unreal.
Unearthing it all.
So you don't go there because at least the miserableness is not going to hurt like that. The fact is, you probably are going to have to hurt worse to get better.
Absolutely.
That's usually the way it's going to go. So you can live perpetually miserable, or it can really hurt and really sting real bad that you may be resurrected, because resurrection only comes after death.
Oh, it's so good,
You got to die. I want to know him and the power of his resurrection. Look, and in the fellowship of his suffering. So I got to go down and die so that I can be resurrected. Ooh. And there's some stuff that God wants to take you down and he wants to bury it and raise you back up to new life. Why? As if it never happened.
So good.
As if it never happened in your life.
And God can do that. I think so many of us look at our own problems. We look at I was talking to somebody today, and they had called about an issue, and it just seemed so big. And, she was telling me, we've been married almost 50 years, and 50 years is a long time.
It's half a century.
And she was saying, but it's this, and it's still been this, and this, and this, and this. And listen to me, how big it was, and how awful it was. And I looked, I said, you know what? I said, who do we serve? What kind of God do we serve? Just because you've been married this amount of time and it's been bad, God's power is still the same, whether you've been married 5 years, 15 years, or 50 years. God's power is the same if you will do the work. He's not a genie in a bottle. He's not going to come and sprinkle fairy dust on us. But we've got to be willing to dig down to the bottom of us and do the hard work so that God can take us to whatever next level it is. Yours is different than mine. Mine's different than somebody else's. But God's always wanting to stretch us. He's always wanting to grow us. But it will always require work.
Your eyes are pretty.
My eyes are pretty. Thank you, Ronald.
I'm just looking at you while you're so passionately talking right there. Three practical things. How much time we got?
I don't know.
How much time we got? We good? Good.
Okay, so we got about
We've been kind of spiritual. Let's
minutes.
be practical. To go to the next level, mentorship. Do you have anybody in your life that's not a friend? Friends can't mentor you. One big drawback, I think, to this generation of preachers is they don't have mentors in their life. They have peers. They go to each other for help. They go to each other for information. That stuff's supposed to flow up.
A mentor is somebody who's been doing it longer and doing it better.
A mentor is that, and then you even go into fathers. The Bible talks about not necessarily biological, but fathers in the faith. And fathers may not have even done what you're going to do, but they anchor you to you.
Yeah,
they anchor you to what's right.
They call you higher as a
person.
Yeah.
They call you higher as a person. They might not can take you into your future as far as your function, but you as a person, they can always raise you up to a higher place. What?
I'm sorry. I was just thinking about me and you last week. We got in a fight. We got in an argument, and I said, you do, and you turned around and said, well, you got a bunch of crap you need to deal with. You were anchoring me. You were calling me higher. I said, well, you got to, I said something to you about, well, you don't deal with, and you said, well, you got a bunch of crap.
That was one of your meanie days.
You don't deal with either.
We've talked about in the podcast your meanie days. And your meanie day had just gone so long, I couldn't take it no more. I had to respond. But anyway, mentorship, the need for somebody in your life who is not your friend. Listen to me, guys. The need for somebody in your life who is not impressed with you.
You weren't impressed with me that day?
Yes, the need in your life for somebody, basically nothing you have or nothing you've accomplished moves them and allows them to lose their objectivity. It is somebody who can look at your life with objectivity, see your blind spots, and call you higher. A mentor is somebody that can help you in function. What is it you want to do? Find somebody who is doing it well. Not watch, serve. Serve. Elisha wanted Elijah's anointing, but he didn't go around and say, now teach me how these miracles work.
He
poured water on his hands. The only requirement to catch Elijah's mantle was he poured water on his hands. He washed his hands. That's all he did. And so you get around greatness and then you serve. I think you have seen me do that whenever I've had entree to great, great men of God.
Yeah,
I move into a service role. Why? Because I want something that's on their life to fall on me. And so mentorship, the other thing, I talked about it this two Sundays ago, actually, is exposure. It's going to be hard to go to the next level if you never see the next level.
Or if you resent the next level. You see it, but you resent it.
When you see the next level, you will either be inspired or you will be intimidated.
Yep.
You will always be inspired or you will always be intimidated. If God puts you in that room and you're intimidated, it's not time for you to be in that room. If you can get in that room and you're inspired, then it was time for you to be in that room. So exposure is the key to everything. And there are people that you have so much more in you, but you suffer for severe lack of exposure. Even Jesus said, he was talking to Nicodemus, if you can see it, you can enter it. If you can see it. And I will tell people that is so true because in my life, I've always told you, if I can ever see it, I'm dangerous.
Well, it's the same thing in write the vision down, make it plain, so that those who read it can run with it. They got to see it. They got to see that vision so that they can get to the next place to implement the vision.
You remember we wanted to do all those outreach ministries, so what did? We crawled on a plane and went to Tommy Barnett's church, who had a parade of ministries. 120?
I don't remember how many. It seemed like all day long.
Yeah, just kept parading them out there. And I went up on Prayer Mountain behind his church and prayed and asked God, let me be able to do these same things back where you have placed us.
Yeah.
And we duplicated many of those same things, and maybe some of them even on another level. And the fact was, as long as it was talk, it was difficult for me. But when I saw it.
Yeah.
And our staff used to always laugh when I go off to a conference or something. They'd like, you better enjoy it because when he comes back, it's on, So mentorship and exposure. Number 3, atmosphere. You got to be in the right atmospheres to grow.
Yeah, it's true.
There's just things that cannot, a flower can't grow without sunlight.
No.
Food in the field can't grow if it never rains. Some things can't grow in cold weather.
Yeah.
Some things can't grow in the scorching heat. The sun will burn them up. So what atmospheres you're in, and hope.
And what atmospheres are you creating?
This is
too?
what we're talking about: letting go of things that are hard to let go of. Some of you are not around any people that cause you to elevate your game.
No, most people are around people who talk about and criticize and hate on people.
Let me tell you something.
Who are doing something better than them.
Let me tell you something that happened to me, Hope, probably in my life 10 to a dozen times. Preaching at conferences right before or right after Bishop Jakes. Do you know what it would do to you? Yeah, we had Bishop Jakes here last night, and you're the next guy. He is the quintessential perennial preacher of a generation, and there's really not even a close second. He was in a league by himself. And I can't tell you how many times, well, I'm Thursday night. Who's here tomorrow night? Bishop Jakes. You're
like, oh, God.
Not in a fleshly sense, but I'm going to go from being able to preach to a sermon to wanting to have mastery of it.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? Why? Just because I heard that environment is going to be right here where I am.
It causes you to rise. Exactly
right. They said that was the great thing about Michael Jordan.
Or it'll cause you to run.
They said that was the great thing about Michael Jordan. They said I don't care who you were, he elevated your game. I have this story of myself, if I could just share a quick story, because people on the podcast love them. My first college basketball practice. Remember I told that story? I was a great basketball player, if I may say it, at a school that didn't have a great basketball program. So we were not known at BHP. We're a football school. We still are.
You were the shining star.
30 years later. But I was a good basketball player at a team that had 500 teams. We played 20 games. We beat 10-10, okay? Got recruited to play basketball. So I had my world where I was there, hopefully to elevate some other people's game. I went to my very first college practice, and the guys said, come on, we're going to do warm-ups. Well, where I came from, warm-ups was layups.
Right.
You kind of jog down, you start breaking a sweat, get a good lather going. And here ensued these guys from the Bronx. These guys had a guy from Queens, had two guys from the Bahamas. These guys were giants. They ran like deer. They could jump out of the gym. And I'm sitting here with these guys, and the first guy's a point guard. He might have been all of 5'6", 5'7", just a little point guard. And I mean, he just launches from about the foul line and just chicken wing. Everybody knows what chicken wing dunks it. And I'm sitting here, I'm about 4 or 5 back in line. I'm like,
uh-oh.
And then the next guy, comes up behind, and he just hangs on the ring and hangs on the rim. And then this dunk fest ensues. Well, I could dunk, but I could dunk. That was it. And
You couldn't do flips and twirls.
No, I couldn't do chicken wings and gorilla and all this stuff. And I immediately hope
something come up out of you.
I'd sat there and I looked at the 4 or 5 guys before me, and I'm like, if you don't do what they're doing, you don't belong.
Come on.
And I immediately, by nothing else, nobody gave me a shot of a steroid. I didn't get a cortisone. I didn't do nothing. Just being in that atmosphere, I started doing things I had never done.
Oh, that's so good.
In my life.
It's already in you.
Yes, it was there the whole
potential's
time.
Already in you.
It was there the whole time. But look, I wasn't in a setting
that pulled it out of you.
So how many of you have all kind of next level equipment?
Come on.
But you're not in a setting that makes a demand, so you never function in it.
Jesus.
So you walk around every day with inactive and dormant gifts.
Jesus.
Lying around that have never been activated in your life. I didn't know I was apostolic till I got around an apostle.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was anything prophetic.
The characteristics.
I didn't know I was revelatory till I got in a revelatory environment. I remember one night I was invited to TBN to sit on a panel for 2 hours with 8 prophets.
Yeah.
I remember going there like, what am I doing here? I'm not a prophet. By the end of that thing, I was a prophet. Why? Because I got in that setting. I feel real strong that I'm at a point here. This is one we got to drive home. Talking about next level, I talked about embracing that life has to be fluid and mobile. Embracing that if you do feel stuck, it's probably in your head. And then thirdly, understanding you got to get the right voices, right mentors, fathers in the faith. Then secondly, what next thing
Secondly,
I said?
not secondly,
No,
fourthly.
it's about the fourthly.
You said the environment.
The environment that you're in, the setting that you're in, the voices that are around you. That is usually, I think, these fuzzies.
I see them.
I think many times the difference between good and great is usually going to have to do with associations.
Yeah.
10 years ago, you didn't know you had 2 books in you.
Mm-mm.
And I'm not saying this because I really want you to give me some sugar when this is over. You are an above average, probably approaching an elite level writer. When I read your and you wrote it, you didn't ghostwrite it. They need to know this. You sat down and wrote your book. Mm-hmm. When I saw the fluidity, the grammar, the vocabulary, the flow of your writing, I was like, wow, she has a real gift. But it took a tragedy to pull it out of you.
Yeah.
I don't know if that hadn't happened to you if you'd ever written a book.
I know.
Maybe you would have. I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know. And but here again, walking around for 40-something years of your life, having that ability.
Yeah.
But there was never anything in your life that made a demand on it, because I'm not very literary as a person, so I certainly didn't make a demand on it. But that's your own.
But it was already in me. That's what we're talking about.
That's
it's already in you.
My basketball practice.
Yes.
That was your thing. All right, this is a testimony. The world needs to hear this testimony. You are a rare breed. Most people don't make it through this, and you've got to write this down. All of a sudden, you started writing. I'm like, wow. I mean, I can really
And
write.
there's people listening to us. There's greatness on the inside of you. Mm. But you have got to be willing to confront these mindsets. You got to be willing to confront your insecurity and let God strengthen you and challenge you and pull you and grow you. And don't run. Stop running from it. Stop being intimidated by greatness. Stop hating on people's greatness. Let God use it. Let God use it to challenge you, to grow you for your own greatness, because it's already in you.
We are not in a culture that celebrates greatness. We are not. We have an American culture that if you're great, we have a culture of haters.
Yes, we do.
And you have a target on your back, and there's people at every turn trying to take you down.
And it's really jealousy. It's really jealousy. Just mad that other people have something.
And let me tell you something.
But not willing to do what they did to get it.
I know a lot of people that are highly successful, and there are people that think successful people kind of were born that way and with a silver spoon in their mouth.
It's not true.
None of them that I know. We talked to a guy the other day, and it was the same gentleman.
Yeah.
I said, people don't know, do they? And he looked at me, he said, they have no idea. The diligence, the discipline, I have to, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
The making yourself anyway.
Getting your butt up
the
off
attention
the couch.
to details. The doing the things that nobody wants to do. They don't know. They don't know the hours.
But just like you preached last week, God is watching you in those little things that you're supposed to be doing.
To qualify
just
you.
normal stuff. Taking out the trash, right? Showing up on time. All the little things. He's watching us to qualify us for greatness. Mm-hmm. It's not some magical potion. It's not magical keys. It's really just being disciplined and faithful in your everyday life.
So, got more, but we probably need to back off of it
it's so good. So good, Ron.
Hopefully these things are helping people. But it's just keys to moving along and moving to the next level. And maybe we said some really, really challenging stuff. But go ask God to help you confront these things. We've had to say goodbye to people, and it was painful.
Yeah.
But we knew that season.
And we've had to confront people.
Was up.
We even had to confront family.
Yes.
Like, you will not talk like this.
Yep.
Or we won't be around.
Yeah, we're in a different
We're going to
place.
leave. If this is what you're going to talk about, you're going to talk about people, you're going to diss people. We love you, but we're not going to be in this.
I can't be in this. Yeah. And those are hard decisions that tragically too many times people are not willing to make.
Right.
And so you forfeit what God can do because you have chosen to camp out there like the Israelites.
My God, what a way to end. Y'all, this has been Ron and Hope. Unfiltered, real, raw, relevant. We really do love you. We want to see you grow. We want to see you better.
Lose that turkey weight.